Hi guys, it's Wade McMaster here. Just got a video. I'm going to show you basically how you can use the new editor called the Block Editor or Gutenberg editor for WordPress. A lot of people out there have been using the classic editor, obviously because it's been the only editor really available apart from third-party plugins. And some people are wondering how they can actually adjust and start using the new editor. So I'm going to start. I'm going to sort of give you a quick brief overview of how this works and in comparison to the old classic editor, and go from there. So obviously, in the old editor, we used to have the title, and we also had a permalink section underneath, and then we would simply start writing our content. Now, this has obviously become a lot more simplified in the interface, and you sort of have to dig a little bit deeper to grab things, but it is a bit easier to move things around and get more precisely what you're looking for. So first of all, I'm going to add a title because this is the same as you'd add a title to any blog post, so I might call it my blog post, and that's how you create a title for this editor. Now you may notice that I've started typing. All of our document settings and all the things that used to be in the sidebar on the right are now in this section here, which if we click this cog, we can hide or display. So as before, we've got our usual bits and pieces. I can actually go to visibility, public, all the usual sort of options. I can make it sticky to the front page, and we've got just those basic publish box options that we used to have. Now the permalink that was under the title is now over here under permalink. And you can see here that this page, because I haven't saved a draft yet, is simply just a normal question mark P permalink. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add some text in here so that I can save a draft. Now I can go up here to save draft. You'll see that now we have the option to change that permalink. So we have one here, or we can type one here. So I can maybe call it new post. And that's it. That's how you can update your permalink. And then as before, we don't need to go through this in too much depth. You've got your category drop down here, which at the moment, for some reason, is taking a while to load. And we've got our categories. Same as before, tags, featured image. So instead of having the button, we simply click this to add our featured image. So maybe I want to add this picture of a turkey. And the excerpt that was down here is now on the right as well as discussion, so commenting options and a few options from my Divi theme. So you have got the same options, and you've still got down the bottom here underneath the editor some of the same bits and pieces that we used to be there. I've got ConvertKit plugin installed, so that's down the bottom there, along with the all-in-one SEO pack, which I can minimize. And so now we've just got our basic editor. Now, this is just a normal paragraph block. So the way the blocks work is every time you type, you can simply type as if you were before. So if I type hello and click enter, I now have a new block. I can say my name is Wade McMaster, enter, welcome. So you can see here, I now have 3 blocks, because every time I hit enter, a new paragraph creates a new block. So it's actually a pretty simple to use. You can still type as you did before. You don't have to, it's not going to slow you down too much. But as you click on each block, you have options. Now this is where it can become pretty interesting, because I do have the same options as before. I can add a link here. Now I can do the usual things. I can highlight text, make it bold, italic. Same as before, right aligned, center, left aligned, and we can actually transform this block into another sort of type. We can make it a quote. I can change the styles. I can make it large. We've got a few options. I can even transform it into a heading. So I've got my heading 3, heading 4. So you've got a few options there. You'll notice heading 1 isn't there, but it's not too important because heading 1 is generally reserved for the title post there. But we can convert this, as I said, we can transform this block into other types of blocks, or we can keep it as a paragraph block, and we have our usual options. We also have here other options. I can insert a block before or after. I can even edit as HTML. So instead of using the visual and text editor from before, you can click edit as HTML and go in and add your HTML code if you wanted to. I can go back to edit visually. We can add reusable blocks, which I'll get back to. But we just got these basic blocks here, and I've got a quote block here, which has now been added. So if you want to delete a block, you can simply click on it, click on the three dots, and remove that block. Now the other thing is our settings also pop up on the right here because we've got our document settings, and on the right we've got our block settings. So if I select this block, I can actually change the font size of that block and still have it be a paragraph block. So if you ever wanted to have certain paragraphs bigger than others, you can change the size. You can even change it one by one over here, reset, make it medium. You can do what's called a drop cap, which is a large letter at the start, and then the paragraph flows on from there. And that's all on the right here. You can easily change the color as well by clicking any of these buttons. So that's the background color. Maybe I want to clear that. I can change the text color to red, that sort of thing. So it's pretty handy because you can go through and really do whatever you want with this text block to get the effect you want. Also under advanced, you can add a CSS class to the block. So if you do understand CSS coding, you can now add a class to that block. You can call this block, something funny. Maybe you can call it dog and actually have a different font or something like that. I don't know, you can call it. So if you're using CSS, you can actually style a particular block by adding a CSS class. So that's pretty handy and pretty easy to do. So that's basically how you can type and go through and add bits and pieces as you go. Now, this is where the block editor starts to come into its strength, is that if we want to add different types of content, we can add blocks manually by clicking the add block here. Like I said before, we can add a block after or before. We can even add a block at the top here by clicking this button. Also notice at the top we also have undo and redo, and just a summary of the post. So I've got 7 words, and we've got block navigation if we want to. Instead of scrolling through here, we can scroll down here. But I'm going to add a block, and you can see we've got a whole bunch of options here. We've got the most used, so that way if you've got something you use more than anything else, it'll be here under most used. So I'm going to actually just close that up. We can add an inline image. So maybe I want to add an image here. I'll go for this picture of powder, select. And you can see now we have an image. And I can simply add text as well. So that way if I want an image next to some text, we can add that in there. The other thing too is I can actually go through. I'm going to remove this block. This time I'm going to go add before. I can change this block to an actual image block. So maybe you want to choose another image. I'll choose that same one again. Select. And we have our image. Now we also have our alignment options. I can have it center aligned or right aligned. If I want to make it smaller, it'll actually right align to the content now, and I can have the blocks flow around it. Same with the left align. So we have all the same abilities, except with a bit more freedom and just like to use different block styles. We can change the image by clicking the pencil icon. I can transform it to something else, which I won't do at the moment. But you can see some of those same old options starting to show up. Now, if I want to, I can click this button to move it up, or I can actually click this section here to drag it to the top, except we want to select this block here. So you get the idea of how it all works. So it's pretty powerful. So for now, I'm going to simply remove this block again, and we're going to add another. Now, this is another option. You can actually hover over and add below or above simply by hovering. So you do have that option as well. I'm going to add another block just so we can explore it a bit. I won't go through all of this, but you can see we've got our inline image, common blocks. We've got like paragraph, heading, quote. We can create a list, so dot points, a gallery, add a file, even a video. So we've got all those same old options. So if I have a video, I can choose to have it from my media library as before. Remove. Same with the gallery, dot points. So say 1, 2, 3. Okay, add another block. So you can explore all of these different areas. You can have custom HTML, you can add a classic, which is the classic WordPress editor. So if you want to actually just use a classic WordPress editor, you can add that in there and use that. You can have a section dedicated to code. You can even add tables, verses, and there's just a few different things you can do. Write a citation. So hello again from Bill. So you've got a few different options there. And of course, again, if we click on this, we have our color settings here for the main color. You can change the text color, and you can even click on this to choose from the color picker. Solid. So we can create some pretty nifty stuff. So it's pretty much all about exploring, adding blocks and exploring. So like I said, we can add a table. You can actually change how many columns. So this is pretty handy. So we can make it 5 by 5 columns. So now we can actually add a table. This used to be a little bit more of a hassle back in the day, but now we can sort of do that pretty easy and add in what we need and add a nice little table in there. So you can see the editor is quite useful for doing more. We can do a lot more with it. We can add in page breaks more easily now. I actually had a video showing you how to insert page breaks onto a post, but now you can just simply go in and add a page break in there. You can even add a button. We can add columns. So if I want to add columns, I can now add blocks within those columns. So here at the moment we're typing in here. So column 1. You can add another block in here. Maybe make that one an image. Column 1, column 2, and of course we've got the block option. That's also a block, and we can actually change the column options themselves. So columns here, I can add up to 4 columns, 5 columns. So we can actually add columns to our posts a lot more easily now as well. So you have all of these options to basically have a bit more freedom in your posts. Now the best part about this is obviously you can go through and they've got embeds, like you can add a YouTube video, Twitter tweet, Instagram post. So there's a whole series of now default embeds that you can use that are just come with the editor. So that's very handy also. But if you're really not sure what you want, you can do a search. So if I want to add a page break in there, I can search for page, and up comes page break. And there you go. So that's pretty much how you can find just about any element you want. And you can go through at any time, edit, move. You can change the indent, change it to numbers. Now this should be moving it back and forth, but for some reason it's not. But you get the idea. And then of course you've got all your options down the side for your block. See, you can actually sit there and type out a pretty decent post with this new block editor. Now you can see here I've actually converted one of my old posts into a new block post. So I'm going to leave that. I do have a video that shows you very briefly how to convert posts, old posts, into block posts. I'm going to open this one up. And I'll show you just quickly. So I'm going to click convert to blocks. And now I can go through, and if let's say I want to move a paragraph, I can now move that paragraph. Or if I want to highlight and make this paragraph larger, it's easy. I can now go in and choose the font size, make it bigger. Maybe I want to make it all italics. So I'll select all that, make it italics, and change the color to an orange. So you can go into your old posts and do a fair bit with them. Once you convert them to blocks, you can go through and style each paragraph or image, and just you get a lot more freedom to do what you need to. So it's a very handy editor. It allows you to do a lot more once you get used to it, and you know, the sizing works pretty well. So it's very handy. Like that's pretty much how it works. You can simply type away. I can even click enter here and type a new paragraph, which I won't keep. So it's actually a really powerful new editor that you can use. So if you're used to the old classic editor, getting used to this is not going to be a big leap, because you're just going to have a lot more options with your text. It's essentially got the same functionality, just slightly different layout, but everything is sort of more organized into these blocks. So I hope you did find that useful, because it's obviously that's the way WordPress is heading. Now I also have a video if you want to stick with the classic editor. It shows you how to switch to that using either just a classic block or the plugin. I will put a link to that in the description below. Otherwise, I hope you found this video useful. And if you want more videos like this, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you again next time. Okay, thanks for watching.